Hello, everybody. This is Between Two Teachers, and we talk about educational issues and related educational issues across the country in California and locally. So today is Friday, October 14th, and my name is Consuelo Lara.
And my name is Madeline Cronenberg. And as always, I will begin this episode with our land acknowledgement. We pause to acknowledge that we have gathered on the ancestral territory of Huichin, part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karkan-speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland, and offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people of the past and present. And one way to show that respect is to continue the fight for justice for the Muwekma people, to get them approved as in the Federal Registry of Tribes, which gives benefits to them which they have been excluded from. It's one of the many things that many steps we can take to support them. In addition, we can look at the curriculum that's available on the East Bay Regional Park District website so that you can learn more about their background and encourage your teachers to use that curriculum to teach students about the history of Native Americans in the Bay Area. And with that, we will go on to what's been happening nationally. Nationally, the big story I wanted to just follow up on is the students in hurricane-stricken Lee County, Florida. And in Lee County, they are still out of school. They're not going back until tomorrow. So they've had a few weeks of no school. And some of their buildings are truly gone. They've been rebuilding. They're now having to reassess where all of their students are going. I'm sure there are some buildings that suffered much less damage, but it's something to be aware of, just to understand that hurricane damage, long after it's not a big topic in the news, it's a big issue for the students in those districts and all of the many students who were and families and district offices that were displaced. Completely displaced by the hurricane. The next thing I wanted to just talk about, and today I wanted to do some follow-ups on things, and a lot of them have to do with the elections. So the big election, one of the big statewide education issue that's on the California election is Prop 28, and Prop 28 is the music and arts, or arts and music proposition. And what it does is it keeps a line of funding for arts and music. And right now, the way funding goes in California, it goes up. Our funding mechanism is uneven, and it just goes by how much the state takes in through various taxing mechanisms. And districts can get in a position where they have to make cuts. And up until right now, unless this passes, the cuts are first given to arts and music because the value is not there. There is not a real value. There's not an understanding of the gift that arts and music is to our students, and the inspiration to creativity that it is to our students. The Prop 28 provides that extra funding, right? And there are critics of it because absolutely nothing is perfect. I understand that. But nonetheless, I personally believe that Prop 28 is a big step in the right direction as far as funding our schools. So if you're a California voter looking at your ballot this weekend, please vote yes on 28. We really do need some support for our kids in their arts and music programs. One of the simple facts is there's like less than 3% of students in schools in California have a regular music or arts teacher assigned to them. And it's just not something we're doing. We're sort of adding it into curriculum. It's an afterthought. as opposed to a state like New York, where 75% of schools have dedicated teachers in
Exactly.
each school.
And, you know, California has these five top industries. And one of the top five is the entertainment industry, the arts. And
Right.
so we're not even preparing them for those kind of artistic
Right. I mean,
careers.
it's part of everything. I mean, it's to grow the creativity in our children. That's what we're talking about, is growing creativity in our children. And that's what we're just saying. We value that opportunity. And that's what we've had to write a law to try to put before the voters to do it, because it's
And our low performing students, the arts are unbelievably successful with reaching those students, and the learning, using the arts for learning, it works, you know, with especially students that, you know, they're not gonna, the memorization, or it's got to be total for them, a whole physical involvement with
mhm,
learning, and the arts does that. The other thing about the arts is that, you know, this district, we've had a lot of tragedy, and one of the things that we go to for healing are activities around the arts, and the ways that we can express our feelings. And we also have a lot of really talented uh, students in our district, in our area,
mhm.
and that should be, you know, able to thrive. So, yeah, absolutely, we need this. We needed it.
Yes, on 28.
Yes,
Yes, on 28.
we needed it.
The other things I just wanted to briefly bring up today around elections are the efforts being made to recruit all sorts of different groups, and in particular, two groups that are out there recruiting more conservative and really what I think are folks that are looking at our curriculum. Like there's the issues around CRT, the issues around being open to gender issues in schools, and really organizing themselves around the fact that you shouldn't be open to gender issues, and that critical race theory is a threat to our students. Is a group called Parents Union of America, who are specifically organized against unions. They're the anti-union union. And the other one is a group that's been organized by the Republican Party called Parent Revolt. So in addition to everybody else, and there are others as well, these are two that have really come out in the public in the last couple of weeks in terms of who they are supporting, and their efforts to make a huge difference in the lives of our children at school. And we really need to pay attention to who we're electing to school boards. That's the big answer here. And look at, you know, how people got there. And that means that also school board candidates need to be available for information, right? For forums. I think that's a hugely important thing. Go ahead. Now you've been working this week. You had a big event yesterday that you wanted to share.
Yes, yes, at El Cerrito High School, they had a college and career night. Now, this is the first time I've seen one held at night. And it was so unique because I saw a family mom come out of there with these little elementary school kids. And I thought, what are they doing in there? But the flyer, you could pre-register, and those little QR codes, those are really getting used a lot for everything. And so it was great. So a parent and a student can go to these things together and ask the questions that they need. So I thought that was brilliant, you know. So I like that. And then just we made sure we followed the AB 643. Now
Right.
the districts have to reach out to the unions. And just in case they didn't, we also contacted the unions.
Help them out.
Here's one that's happening. So yeah, and so that went really well. So the unions were there, and I posted some pictures on Facebook. So I was really glad to see that. And my son came with me, and he talked to the person behind his alma mater,
Oh, perfect.
That was funny. They graduated at the same time, I think. So it was great. And I ran into a lot of friends that I used to work with at Helms, and that's always wonderful. So that was a really big success. For congratulations to El Cerrito High School. They did a great job.
Right. And the college and career department, good for them. Good
Yeah.
for them. They did a good job.
Yep.
And so what else is happening in the at the county?
At the county. So we're having our meeting next Wednesday, the 19th is our board meeting. And we have a lot of really important agenda items. So people come and join us. So we're going to talk about adult school, college and career readiness. And we have a couple of great resolutions, as well as the resolution on book banning resolution. So we're hoping that one gets passed by everyone. And we know this is a controversial kind of thing, but it's also really, really important. It's our freedom to, like the ALA, the American Library Association calls it, the freedom to read. And so their website is wonderful. It has all kinds of things you could do as an individual, as a district, as community, to fight against this notion of banning books. So let me share some of those. There's contacting the Office for Intellectual Freedom. They have a journal, they have a newsletter, so they're very active. And I've seen a couple of book ban week. A week of book bans, banned books at different bookstores. And so they'll put those banned books on display. Here are the books that are being banned. Let's see, organize your own. You can participate in the virtual ones. I like this one. Write a letter to a favorite banned or challenged author and thank them for their words. And of course, if it's a current book and they're still with us. Also, stocking up, get your school stocked up on some of those books, and brushing up on banned book history. I thought that was a really good thing because there's a history to banning books.
Yes.
Way back, and not
Yes.
just country, but so there's a pattern, in terms of
Yeah, not good. There's nothing good about it.
Nothing good about it. Nothing good about it ever follows banning books historically. So people need to know that. Yeah, and just exercising your rights and just read a book, read a banned book.
Yeah, read a book. And it's a really important topic. And I think that this groups that I was talking about earlier who are recruiting folks, this is one of the issues that's a centerpiece of our conversations now around electing school board members. So people really need to pay attention. Really need to pay attention.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that happened this week that I just wanted to point out is an update on Parker Elementary, which was the place where the parents had tried very hard to keep the school open and had basically occupied it and did a teach-in for students. They've resolved it in the sense that it's not going to go back as an elementary. The students at Parker have all been, this is in Oakland, have all been reassigned. And the school, though, is now going to be opened as an adult ed center for the community. And so that's the direction that ultimately went into. The other big news this week, there were two other things. One was San Jose. In San Jose, a former superintendent, female superintendent, got a $2 million award in a discrimination lawsuit because of how much less she was paid than her male counterparts. This is absolutely a sex discrimination case that was, and it totally was true. This district, I think it's Evergreen, it failed to pay her what they paid their male superintendents for absolutely no reason. There was no reason. Wow. So we all need to realize that discrimination can exist on everywhere and at every level.
Absolutely. Good. All
And
right.
the other level that's we've seen discrimination this week has been in the Los Angeles City Council. Yesterday, their city council president, Nuri Martinez, resigned, and the two other city council members who were also involved in a now leaked conversation that they had a year ago, but that really honestly betrayed their own enormous biases, right? They used bigoted language throughout the whole thing, and they, to me, showed a sense of privilege where over everybody and people who we know and thought Kevin De Leon has, as of this moment, not resigned, but he has shown himself not to be the person people thought he was, and he has remained silent on the topic. So he's doing what we've talked about before here. I'm sure he's talking to PR professionals. He's talking to people who are saying, well, here's how you can resolve the problem, right? Don't say anything and see if it'll go away. It's not going to go away. I don't think they're going to be able to have a city council meeting without people going in and disrupting it until both he and the other council member also resign and let them get past this, right? This truly shows the depths of problems we have, and the fact that what the conversation that he was part of is a textbook conversation among people who were comfortably showing their bigotry.
And even if you don't participate, but if you don't intervene, something this blatant, you are, condoning. So you're just as guilty as those.
And he, as of this minute, has said nothing.
And saying nothing is what got him into trouble. So he should speak up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but turns out he's not good at that.
yeah.
Right. So anyway, the folks who he's a disappointment to his supporters. Let's just say that. That's the least we could say. I mean, we had tremendous disappointment. All of them were disappointing. Yeah. And people have to learn from it, but they also need to do what we've talked about with Uvalde. You have to step up and take some ownership. In Uvalde, I'll do my final update is Uvalde, where Mr. Harrell, the superintendent Harrell, has said he's resigning, but he's not going to resign until the end of the year. And he's resigning because of his truly poor judgment, and even after it happened. And he was beloved by a lot of people, but he made tremendous mistakes and mistakes that really showed, where his thinking was. So he's not resigning under the same cloud that Ms. Martinez is resigning under. So they're all a variety of different clouds there. My final thing is I wanted to give a shout out to a political organization, and that's unusual. We don't usually do that, but in this season of elections, there are many candidate forums being held, and they're usually held with the same group of questions, and they're not held unnecessarily focused on controversial topics, but they get a lot of softball questions and come up with predictable answers. And a truly different one was held by the Chinese, an organization in San Francisco, who were doing a candidate forum for the San Francisco school board. And the organization is Chinese for Affirmative Action. And their topic was the tension between the African-American and Chinese communities in the schools in San Francisco, and what can be done about it. And I thought taking the topic on showed courage and commitment to trying to make things better by the folks from Chinese for Affirmative Action. And not everybody came, but for the folks that did come, for the candidates that did come, I thought that they did an excellent job in not skirting around, but actually answering questions. So my shout out is to the community at Chinese for Affirmative Action.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's wonderful. Shout out to them for sure.
And it's unusual to do a shout out to somebody who runs the forum. So there you go. So until next time, please vote yes on, I keep getting the number wrong, 28. So is it 28? No, it's, what is it?
See,
Yeah, it is 28.
28.
Yes
Yeah.
on 28. Yes on 28. Let's save arts and music and dance. And until next time, goodbye from Between Two Teachers.